Poker is a game where the rules are cleverly created so that someone who has an understanding of positional awareness has a big advantage over someone who does not. After playing poker for a few days, you should notice that in a particular game, if you are the first to act on the flop, you are also the first to act on the turn and on the river. This is a big disadvantage for you. There are various reasons why it is a big disadvantage to act first. I will explain this in another video, but for now, just remember that fact. In some games, however, you are always the last player to act on the flop, on the turn, and on the river. This is a big advantage for you in these games. Therefore, you should be very aware of your position in a particular game so that you can play accordingly. The biggest secret to winning in poker is that you should try to consistently play bigger pots in games when you are the last player to act, and you should try to consistently play smaller pots in games where you are the first player to act. In a 6-player game, there are 6 different positions. The position which a player is assigned to in a particular game is determined by the button, which moves 1 seat clockwise every round. To the left of the button is the small blind position, who is forced to post the small blind. To the left of the small blind is the big blind position, who is forced to post the big blind. To the left of the big blind is the under the gun position. To the left of the under the gun position is the middle position. To the left of the middle position is the cut-off position, and to the left of the cut-off position is the button position. The reason why the under the gun position is given this name is because that position is under a lot of pressure. It's the position that has to act first pre-flop. In the pre-flop round, under the gun acts first, followed by middle, cut-off, button, small blind, and lastly, big blind. However, in the flop, turn, and river rounds, the small blind acts first, followed by big blind, under the gun, middle, cut-off, and finally button. So, overall, the small blind is the worst position to be in because the small blind always has to act first for 3 betting rounds. The big blind is the second worst position to be in because the big blind always has to be the second player to act for 3 betting rounds. Additionally, if the small blind has folded, then the big blind always has to act first. The under the gun is the third worst position to be in, because the under the gun always has to be the third player to act for 3 betting rounds. And if the small blind and the big blind are not seeing the flop, then under the gun always has to act first. Similarly, middle is the third best position to be in. Cut-off is the second best position to be in. Button is the best position to be in. At this stage of learning poker, try to mentally notice what position you are in during every game you play. Take note that you usually have the advantage over the player to your right, because he always has to act before you do. In poker terminology, you are in position against this player. You should also notice that against the player to your left, you usually have the disadvantage, because you always have to act before he does. In poker terminology, you are out of position against this player